After that sort of introduction, I feel like I should drop the microphone and leave. It doesn't get better than that. That's all you got. So, Tisha, thank you for outdoing yourself today, and I appreciate you having me. And thank you to everybody who invited me and worked with me to figure out that what time I'm supposed to be here and what I'm supposed to bring. I brought nothing, so I'm going to have to just describe to you what the slides on the screen would look like, so that way we could be all on the same page. But as Tisha had mentioned, my name is Michael Weinberger. I am the creator and founder of a website and application called aplanforliving.com. And so I'm just going to kind of walk you through my life right now and end with understanding kind of how I approach my own problems and how I solve them, right? I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder 22 years ago. And so I deal with mental illness on a regular basis. As evidenced by my current outfit, I deal with weight issues on a daily basis. And so I'm used to dealing with problems, right? And overcoming them. And so without a show of hands, I'm assuming just with a gentle nod when you see my eyes come across the crowd, how many of you have problems? Right? So we're all on the same page now, right? We're all friends. And so I certainly have problems, as I mentioned. Aside from gaining and losing 155 pounds multiple times in my life, and now doing it again for the third time. I've been divorced. I've lost every dollar I've ever had. I've had companies fail. I have I deal with a mental illness on a daily basis. And I was always looking for a solution that could help me manage my life more effectively. And so, regarding the mental illness, I was diagnosed in '94, and I've been on over 20 medications and probably seen at least as many therapists, and nothing worked. I continued to wake up every day, right? I continued to wake up every day and go to work and have a successful business. As Tisha had mentioned, I'm self-employed simply because no one would ever employ me based on the hours I keep. I have a technology company here in Michigan. I relocated from New Jersey, and I have over 35 employees because that's about the number of people it keeps I need in order to stay in one place. But So with my diagnosis, I was seeing lots of therapists. And I couldn't figure out how to overcome my issues. Today, I take 17 pills every day just to wake up. And that doesn't bother me, right? Because for me, one of the keys to my own well-being and happiness is acceptance and self-awareness. And our former speaker just shared that same concept. And I think that I know through my own experience through therapy and other tools that the more I accept myself and who I am as a person, the more I'm able to accomplish. So I don't wake up every day bitter that I have to take these medications. I don't wake up bitter that I have this diagnosis or I have this problem. I actually wake up quite grateful. Because if I wasn't grateful for this diagnosis, I wouldn't be speaking here right now, right? I wouldn't be doing the things that keep me moving every day. And so, a quick aside, I had an abusive father growing up. And one of the keys to my what I refer to as the happiness formula is gratitude. And I'll tell you something, I look at my abusive father today, and I see that as something I'm extremely grateful for. I'm extremely grateful for that experience. Because how better can you learn how not to treat other people than by being abused? Now, I'm not suggesting we all go out and find abusive relationships. That's not one of the tips. But it is that I'm able to reflect on it. It was a circumstance in my life. I overcame it. And I'll tell you, I have 2 children, a 3.5-year-old daughter and a 1.5-year-old son. And I'm a better father because of it. You know, I'm sure they're going to hear me raise my voice. I'm sure they're going to hear me get upset. I am 100% confident they are never going to experience the treatment I received as a child growing up. Part of my application, and there's pamphlets in the back that I could share with you afterwards. Part of the application, I call it the happiness formula. There's 4 elements that help me be a better person, that help me manage an entrepreneurial company, that help me manage upsetting emails and arguments with my wife and misbehaving children and scales that never seem to always go down and sometimes go up, right? It's called gratitude plus spirituality plus mindfulness equals awareness, and awareness equals happiness. And not happiness in the form of Mary Poppins singing around and dancing. That's not what happiness is to me. Happiness to me is accepting exactly where I am right now, because that's exactly where I'm supposed to be. I spent a lot of my life being very envious of everyone else around me, because when I looked to my left and I looked to my right, everyone seemed to have it easier than I did, right? It was always going everybody else's way, and my life was just difficult. You never dig out of that hole, right? You never dig out of trying to compare yourself, right? If you try to buy the bigger car, get the fancier job, wear the fancier clothes, take the better vacation. What happens when all those things end? You're still you, right? I left New Jersey. I came here. I was still me. I lost 155 pounds. I was now just a skinny me. I gained 155 pounds. I just proved weight loss doesn't work. I then lost it again. I was still me. And so after gaining it for the second time, I finally came to the realization that I had to be completely accepting of who I am as a person before any change is possible. And it's almost like I'm giving you guys the greatest gift in the world today. Because in order to change, in order to make yourself feel better, the first step is to be completely okay right now, right? Many of you might be arguing with your spouses. Many of you might have weight issues. Many of you might have financial concerns. Many of you might have credit card bills that are due, right? It's okay. That's the first thing I tell you. And I try and explain it this way. Everybody's been listening to me for at least a couple minutes now, right? I'm catching some eye movement. People are acknowledging that I'm alive and speaking to them. Anyone that suffers from anxiety, again, with an internal show of hands, how many people have been anxious about the things they are anxious about? And I'm willing to bet for at least 30 seconds during my conversation, you weren't anxious. And if that's true, and I've yet to see it not be true, but I'll accept that it's not true, and you can approach me in the back of the room and tell me, listen, I was so anxious. Your conversation style makes me nervous. But I am confident that the tool I've built and the happiness formula I provide extends that 5 seconds into 2 minutes, into 5 minutes. And what if I told you that I could actually extend that lack of anxiety into an hour? And what if I told you that every time you turn around and start that anxious feeling, you're able to stop and acknowledge it and be completely okay with it? Okay, I'm anxious. I just got a credit card bill. Okay, my wife just called me. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. That's okay. Let me take a deep breath. What if now you have a tool that allows you to start setting goals properly. This is the biggest problem I've had with goal setting in my life. Okay? Goal setting in my life has always been, I'm going to run a marathon in October. And a month in, I stopped running, and it's October. I'm not running that marathon. I don't even know what you're talking about. What marathon? Right? Well, what if your goals were different? What if your goal for today was to wake up and follow a food plan? What if your goal for today was to wake up and be present in every conversation you have? Well, now it's something tangible. You can do that thing. I've tried this on my own. I use a nutritionist food plan, and since January 4th, I've put follow a food plan into my goals every day. I've lost 32 pounds. Not because I'm doing anything crazy, right? I can tell you yesterday I had 2 slices of pizza and a buffalo chicken sandwich with a salad. That is not a diet. No one is eating that and dieting. And I come home and do that and I lose 4 pounds a week. Now granted, I'm luckier than many of you because I could shed 4 pounds a week for 3 months and still be morbidly obese. But I'm able to just follow the food plan. And when I'm getting concerned throughout the day, I pick up my phone and I see that I committed to that, right? So I commit to goals. Now there's a different way of looking at goals. Like I'm interested in a goal. I'm interested in renovating the Florida room in the back of my house. Well, that means it's likely not getting done, right? How many of us beat ourselves up over things we're interested in doing versus things we're committed to doing? So the first part of the tool is having this honest conversation with yourselves, right? Most people don't even talk to themselves honestly. And so if you're able to take this tool and every day wake up and set some micro goals that you're going to accomplish. I'm going to respond to my emails today. I'm going to have an empty inbox by the end of today. I'm going to follow a food plan. I'm going to call my kids. Whatever it might be. That's it. Now get those things done and then worry about the next thing. It creates momentum. The second portion is gratitude. And so let me give you an example of how gratitude works. Gratitude works in the following way. I have a guy that I coach that uses the tool. And he calls me on a Monday morning and he tells me how miserable it is because it's Monday. Well, it's only miserable because it's Monday because the world has decided to say Mondays are miserable. Right? That's the only reason. There's no actual valid proof that Mondays are miserable, except you have to be miserable because everyone around you is miserable. He calls me up and he tells me his Monday's miserable because his car, the light bulb is melting. And he keeps burning himself, and it's the 6th light bulb he's bought. And he then stubbed his toe naturally because his light bulb was burning out, and he has all these problems. I said, well, let's just stop for a minute. What'd you do this weekend? Well, I went to a company party, and executives knew my name. Oh, what else did you do? Well, I brought my wife, and everyone was able to meet my wife for the first time. Oh, okay. And I brought my son, and I didn't have to yell at him. Okay, well, ideally he would have been well-behaved, but not yelling at him is a win, right? And all of a sudden, he had these 6 or 7 things going for him. And I said to him, is that on your gratitude list right now? He's like, no. I said, well, how do you feel about your car right now? Well, it went away. Now, he was driving to work that day, and he got in the car. The traffic wasn't any less, right? There was still traffic. When he got to work, his coworkers were still jerks. He didn't make them better people. But when he sat down at his desk to start working, he had such a better conversation with everyone around him that it didn't matter, right? The only thing you can control is yourself. The only person that can make you happy is you. And so if I take it back and wrap up, who doesn't want to feel better, right? And if you want to feel better, the second question I ask is, who's the only person that could actually make you feel better? If the person, if the name that came to your mind wasn't me, that's where the conversation starts. So I have cards and applications in the back. If the person you came up with wasn't me, I'm the only one that can make me happier. If you pick up the app, you could start being happier by the end of the day. It's free. I give it away because I want everyone to feel the way I do. Diagnosed with a mental illness, divorced, broke, everything. I want this feeling to be yours. And so with that, thank you very much.